I don't identify as misandrist. I have empathy and care for men in my life. I have a relationship with my boyfriend, and it's very close, and I understand his own grievances when it comes to being a man in our society. I do, however, have friends who are feminists who are misandrist, so I understand what you're saying, where
Why would you be friends with a misandrist?
Well, she has certain opinions, but her overall, she's a kind human being.
Oh,
she just has differences of opinion.
My friend's racist, but and like hates this group.
Well, like you probably have friends who are like extreme conservatives. You don't have the same exact viewpoints as them all the time. But you're still friends with them.
Does she like identify as a misandrist?
I don't think.
I think just some of her takes maybe go a little too far.
I wouldn't say that like mainstream conservatives are sexist or racist, really, but
it depends on which people in the group.
I think most mainstream conservatives have pretty reasonable takes on gender stuff, and yeah.
But like once because like on both sides of the spectrum politically, you can go too far on either way. So it's like you probably have friends who have opinions that are too far, but you're still friends with them even though you don't agree.
Or maybe not.
Yeah, sure. I'm definitely friends with people who have positions that I don't agree with. I don't think I don't know if I would be particularly inclined to be buddy with somebody who was like demonstrably like viciously racist or something like that, or like hated, like if somebody hated women blanketly,
like a misogynist. Or do you not believe in that term?
Well, I think the term misogyny gets thrown around a whole bunch.
It does.
Where it doesn't necessarily apply. But if somebody just blanket hated women, I'm against that. I don't think you should blanketly just hate women.
I think if they like hate them because of their experiences, then I'm just like, oh, that's just a really like traumatized, unfortunate event type person. Mm-hmm. And so they're like taking it out on that specific gender. Sure. And I feel like that's a similar conversation we're having where it's like you as men feel like unheard. You don't feel like you have the same... I mean, do you feel like as a man you don't have the same opportunities as women? Like you do feel oppressed? Is that the sense that you're getting from men nowadays?
The oppressed word is a difficult one, but are you saying that in relation to opportunities? Yeah, affirmative action. Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, granted, I'm not in the like professional corporate world, so I can't speak to that. I'm self-employed. However, what I can tell you is I've had hundreds of men, and there's been journalism on this topic. There's been investigation on this topic. You look at what's going on in Hollywood. I have a lot of friends, male friends, white male friends in the entertainment industry in Hollywood. And yeah, there's been massive amounts of affirmative action in the entertainment industry and in Hollywood where they're like, we only want to hire, and I don't know if it was the Oscars or the... they're like, look, in order for your film to qualify for
I know
this
there's
thing,
incentives for diversity.
you need to have 40% or 50% of this demographic. You need some transgender people. You need some black dwarf lesbians. You need whatever it is. And it's just, there's absolutely affirmative action that's hurting men and hurting white people and specifically hurting white men.
I mean, if they want to band together to start creating laws and get them passed, and like they have every right to do that.
Sorry, what?
Don't they have the rights to make laws and get things changed? If that is such a cross to bear, then like go ahead, because that's what women had to do, right?
No, but hold on. I'm literally addressing your argument. You asked me, are men or white people or white men losing out on specific opportunities? And if affirmative,
and you're saying
if corporations either through their own internal policies or there's like social pressure or whatever it is through DEI policies or affirmative action is like, you can't hire white men, that would seem to indicate to me that yes, white men are not being given opportunities.
I mean, the same thing could be said for women in the past and for people of color. So it's like the reason that these things have changed is because there's laws that have like started to create that change because people are voting them in. So if it's such an issue for you guys, then like why not do the same thing? Vote it in.
Because we can't go backwards. And I mean, I hate to say it.
It's not even.
But if
like,
if there's enough of them who are upset and they want to vote it in, then like you have every right to, right?
Oh, wait. So, well, hold on. But just to be clear, so if you would be fine with a company only wanting, and this is their internal company policy, only wanting to hire white men?
Personally, I don't approve of that messaging. But if they're able to get it voted in, like if it's hurting such a large group of people and they all collectively decided that they want this law to now be put in to be more inclusive towards them, then they have every right to do that, right?
Well, California, this was on the ballot a couple years ago, and I think it failed actually. But they were trying to essentially get rid of, I forget the specific terminology. Maybe somebody in the chat knows. It was on the California ballot. They were trying to undo the... Somebody in the chat maybe help. But basically, they're trying to make it so that you could discriminate in hiring practices. But the discrimination that they wanted to do was discrimination towards hiring minorities and women, and discriminating in terms of being able to not hire men or white men.
Huh? Did everyone get discriminated on that one?
What do you mean?
Sorry, it sounded like you said discriminated minorities and white men.
Huh?
I got a little confused. It sounded like you said
discriminated against.
No.
Who's getting discriminated against?
There's positive discrimination. So discriminating towards, I want to hire black people, that would be discrimination in their favor, right?
I thought discrimination just always meant that you are against.
Well, it depends on the phrasing, but yeah, you would, in other
Right.
words, you would be discriminating against white people or white
Right.
men or men.
And it didn't pass. Great.
I believe, I don't recall the outcome of it, but my understanding is it did not pass.
Yeah. I mean, look, I understand the overcorrection of things, and now we're at the table going, all right, there's an overcorrection and there's a lot of people screaming. How do we do it where there's more of a meritocracy while also helping out identifying confirmation bias or what's the familiarity bias? How do you account for that? What's the solution? How do you, yeah.
Sure. Hold on. Moon, you said women are oppressed in the USA. How are women oppressed?
Oh,
Didn't you already?
I think I did, but
Yeah.
kind of just goes back to like what she said. I mean, childbirth, periods.
Okay. Oh, maybe you did. By the way, guys, $30 TTS. I'm going to let them come through here in just a moment. And you also said women do not have equal rights to men in the USA. Can you explain that?
Equal rights.
Yeah.
I mean,
let me ask you this: what right does a man have that a woman doesn't?
You're gonna scoff at this, but like the right to not have a child in some states, especially if you get pregnant and you do not want to carry that child.
Okay, so abortion rights.
Yeah, your reproductive right. We don't have, and I think you said something earlier. I can't remember what it was. When we were talking about like promiscuity, and you were like, well, basically my point is one man can get.
But let's talk about rights. Let's talk about rights.
Yeah, I mean this goes back to those reproductive rights. Like one man can get 1,000 women pregnant, but a woman can only get pregnant one time a year. Like so, a woman being promiscuous still does not equate to the social damage of a promiscuous man. If you're looking at their ability to just procreate endlessly, I mean, you could knock up as many times as you can. Produce
But
semen.
each of those individual women would have to, I assume, be promiscuous in order to be knocked up by one guy.
No, to be knocked up by one guy, how would she be promiscuous?
Well, logically, it could be the case that this one guy has managed to get, in a short period of time, 7 virgin women pregnant. I find this kind of unlikely, but...
Why would they need to be virgins?
No, I'm not saying I'm saying it's possible, and this would point to... although some people would make the argument that a virgin woman just getting knocked up, they might consider that promiscuity, but given the low body count, I don't know if I would necessarily categorize it as promiscuity, but probably if one guy is getting 7 different women pregnant, I think that would also it'd point to his promiscuity. It would also point to their promiscuity.
So like if a girl hadn't had a relationship in 3 years or a month and she meets you and gets pregnant, she's promiscuous.
Yes, I'm agreeing that in this scenario, the 7 women that this one man, he's getting them all pregnant, they could all be virgins. I think it's probably unlikely.